I'm Jake, 23, and I stock shelves at a grocery store on the south side of town. It's not glamorous, but it pays the bills, and I like the rhythm of it. Early mornings, steady work, quiet evenings. For a long time, I thought that was enough for both me and Megan. She was 22, a waitress at a little diner near the highway. We met when she served me coffee after a long shift. She had this tired smile that still looked warm, like she'd seen too much but refused to turn cold. I fell for that version of her. I didn't realize she could be someone else entirely. We had been together 3 years, long enough to feel like we were building something real. We shared a small apartment above a laundromat. It smelled like detergent and steam all the time, but it was ours. I paid a little more of the rent because I made steadier money. She cooked more often because she liked showing she could take care of us in her own way. We weren't perfect, but we were consistent. I thought consistency meant stability. I didn't know it could also mean I'd stop seeing the cracks. Megan had always been more social than me. She liked going out with coworkers after late shifts. I didn't mind. I'd never been the jealous type, and I trusted her. She'd come home tired, drop her shoes near the door, and curl up next to me on the couch like it was the only place she belonged. I lived off moments like that. They felt real. They felt earned. The first sign that something was wrong came from a coworker of mine, Eric. He's older, blunt, the kind of guy who doesn't know how to sugarcoat anything. We were stacking cases of canned soup when he said, "Hey man, I think I saw your girl at Rusty's last night. Looked like she was getting real cozy with some dude." I thought he was mistaken. Megan didn't even like Rusty's. Too loud, too many smokers. Still, the way he said it lodged itself into my chest. All day I tried to shake it off. By the time I got home, I felt stupid for even thinking about it. But Megan came in later than usual, laughing to herself as she dropped her bag. Something about the way she avoided eye contact made my stomach twist. I asked her straight up, "Were you at Rusty's last night?" She froze for a second. Just a second. Then she smirked like I'd said something naive. "Yeah, so? So why didn't you tell me? I don't need to report everywhere I go, Jake." God! Her tone hit me harder than the words. Sharp, defensive, not like her. I pushed a little more. "Who were you with?" She rolled her eyes. "Friends." But the lie was thin. Even she could hear it. She crossed her arms, looked away, and let out a tiny laugh. That laugh should have told me everything. It wasn't nervous. It wasn't regretful. It was mocking. "Okay," I said quietly. "Is there something you want to tell me?" And that's when she cracked. Not with guilt, but with arrogance. "Fine," she said. "I hooked up with someone. Happy now?" My throat went dry. For a second, I couldn't even process the words. I expected tears or apologies or something human. Instead, she shrugged. "It just happened. He was fun. You're comfortable, Jake. Too comfortable." She said it like it was a flaw I'd chosen on purpose. I didn't shout. I didn't throw anything. I just stood there staring at the girl I thought I knew. Megan kept talking, like she was justifying a late bill instead of blowing up our relationship. "And honestly," she added, "you wouldn't have known if I didn't tell you. I'm not the type to hide things." That was the moment something inside me snapped. Not loudly, not dramatically, quietly, like a rope finally giving way after being pulled too tight for too long. She bragged about it. She really did. Later that night, I heard her on the phone with her friend Jenna, laughing about how Jake didn't even get mad and how he's too soft to do anything anyway. She said it like she was proud. I sat on the edge of our bed staring at the floor, realizing the girl who used to fall asleep on my chest had turned me into a joke she could tell at bars. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just felt something settle in my chest, a slow, steady heaviness that wasn't sadness anymore. It was resolve, the kind that doesn't need noise. If she thought I was too soft to do anything, she was about to learn how wrong she was. I just had to stay quiet long enough for her to believe nothing was coming. The morning after Megan admitted everything, the apartment felt different. Not louder, not quieter, just empty in a way that didn't match the furniture still sitting around. She moved through the rooms like nothing had happened. She hummed while making coffee. She checked her phone every few seconds, smiling at messages I knew weren't from me. She didn't bother to hide it. Why would she? In her mind, the worst was over. She'd confessed I hadn't exploded, and that meant she'd won. I left for work without saying much. She barely noticed. All day I moved like a machine. Boxes, shelves, aisles. My hands worked, but I wasn't really there. I kept replaying her voice from the night before. The way she bragged. The way she tossed 3 years aside like it was lint on her shirt. The humiliation didn't hit me in one blow. It seeped in slowly, like cold water creeping into shoes. By the time my shift ended, I'd made a decision. No yelling. No dramatic breakup scene. No giving her the satisfaction of watching me fall apart. If she wanted fun, she could have it, without the stability I'd unknowingly been giving her all this time. Quiet consequences, the kind people don't notice until they're already drowning in them. I started small. When I got home, Megan asked if I could drop her off at work the next morning since her car was still in the shop. Usually I would have said yes without thinking. Instead I said, "Can't. I'm busy." She blinked, confused. "Busy with what?" "Stuff," I said, and walked past her. That was the first crack in her confidence. The second came 2 days later. I always covered the electric bill because it was easier for me to manage online. I didn't pay it this time. I didn't mention anything either. Megan only found out when she got an email saying the payment was overdue. She asked, "Jake, did you forget the bill?" "No," I said. She kept waiting for more, but I didn't give her any. She stared at me like she was seeing a glitch in the version of me she'd gotten used to. The third piece of the plan was bigger. I went to our landlord, Mr. Rivera, a quiet old man who lived downstairs. I told him I'd be moving out at the end of the month and asked if I could pay just my half until then. He agreed. He didn't ask questions. He never did. Walking back up the stairs felt strange. It wasn't anger pushing me anymore. It was clarity. For the first time in days, I felt like I could breathe. At home, Megan was stretched out on the couch, texting. She barely looked up when I came in. That night, while she slept, I opened our closet and pulled out everything that was mine. Clothes, tools, the old guitar my brother gave me. Even the blankets I bought because she always complained about the apartment being cold. I didn't make noise. I didn't leave traces. I folded everything neatly into 2 big duffel bags and slid them under the bed so she wouldn't see them in the morning. The next day, I packed the kitchen things I'd brought when we moved in. Plates, silverware, the cheap coffee maker she swore she hated but used every single day. I left behind her mugs and her mismatched bowls. The cabinets already looked half empty. It surprised me how much of that apartment had been mine, how much I'd provided without thinking about it. Megan had grown so used to it that she thought the place was simply ours. She didn't realize she'd been living in the comfort of my quiet effort. That evening, she tried to act normal. She even asked if I wanted to watch a movie. I said I was tired and went to bed early. She grumbled, annoyed that I wasn't giving her attention, but she didn't push. She thought this was just a phase. Maybe she thought I'd eventually break down, confront her again, maybe beg her to stay. She didn't know that the begging part of me had died the moment she laughed about cheating. Over the next week, I kept pulling away. No rides, no groceries for both of us, only for myself. No small favors, no good morning kisses, no sleep well touches. I stopped being the guy she relied on, the guy she took for granted, the guy she cheated on because he was too boring to matter. She didn't say anything, but the confusion in her eyes grew every day, like she couldn't figure out why her world felt a little less comfortable, a little less predictable, and I still hadn't even packed up the living room. The real shock was coming. The day I actually moved my stuff out was a Tuesday. Megan had an evening shift at the diner, which meant I had a window of 4 or 5 hours where she wouldn't be home. I'd already moved a few bags to my brother's place over the week, just quietly taking things out piece by piece. But this time, it was the final sweep. I waited until I heard her car pull away. Then I stood in the middle of the living room for a minute and just looked around. The couch, the TV stand, the small shelf with our photos, most of which I'd bought or built. I'd always taken pride in making a home out of cheap furniture and secondhand stuff. Now I was dismantling it all. I started with the living room. I took the TV, the stand, the lamp in the corner, the small coffee table I'd sanded and stained myself. I left the old armchair she'd brought from her mom's house. That thing had broken springs and smelled like perfume and dust. It belonged to her world, not mine. I took down the framed photo of us at the county fair, the one she always posted on anniversaries with cheesy captions. I didn't rip it up. I just slid the picture out and put it in a box. The empty frame went back on the shelf. It looked wrong and incomplete. Fitting. In the bedroom, I pulled my bags from under the bed and added the last bits of my clothes, my work boots, the set of tools I kept in the closet. I changed the sheets back to the cheap old ones she had before we moved in together. The blankets I'd bought went into my car. The more I removed, the more hollow the apartment felt. At first that hurt, 3 years of memories echoing around bare walls. But then something strange happened. I started feeling lighter, like I was physically peeling my life away from hers. I didn't touch her stuff. Her clothes stayed in the dresser. Her makeup stayed scattered on the bathroom counter. Her shoes stayed by the door. I wanted the contrast to be obvious, her things and nothing else. Before I left, I sat at the small kitchen table with a scrap of paper and a pen. I didn't write a speech. I didn't write anything poetic. I just wrote what I needed to say. You wanted fun. Now you can enjoy the consequences. I signed my name, folded the paper in half, left it on the table where she always dropped her keys. Then I locked the door behind me, took a deep breath on the stairwell, and carried the last box to my car. My brother's place was only 15 minutes away. He didn't ask a lot of questions when I showed up earlier that week with the first bag. He just said, "Stay as long as you need," and cleared out a corner of his spare room for me. That night, I turned my phone face down and tried not to picture Megan walking into the apartment. I didn't have to imagine it for long. Around 9, my phone started buzzing nonstop. First a call, then another, then a string of texts. "Jake, where are you? Why is the apartment empty? What the hell did you do? Are you serious right now?" I let them pile up. Eventually, a new text came in from an unknown number. I opened it out of habit. It was from Jenna, her friend. "Dude, what happened? Megan is freaking out." I stared at the screen for a long moment. I typed, "Ask her," then deleted it. I didn't reply at all. The next day, Mr. Rivera called me while I was on break at work. His voice was calm, like always. "Jake, I spoke to your girlfriend. She didn't know you were moving." "She's not my girlfriend anymore," I said. He paused, then just said, "Ah," like that explained everything. "I told her you're off the lease at the end of the month. She'll have to pay full rent if she stays." "How'd she take it?" I asked, even though I already knew. "She yelled," he said simply. "Then she cried." I thanked him and hung up, my heart weirdly steady. Later, I heard from one of Megan's co-workers who came through my line at the store. She lowered her voice and said, "She's been telling everyone you're overreacting. But honestly, after the way she bragged about that guy, I don't think you are." That stuck with me more than anything Megan had said. People had heard her brag. She'd turned my loyalty into entertainment, and now they were watching the sequel, her dealing with the fallout. I didn't text her back that night, or the night after, or the next week. She wanted me soft, predictable, easy to walk over. Instead, I became something she couldn't control at all. Gone. Ignoring Megan wasn't as satisfying as people make it sound online. It wasn't some power trip. It was heavy. Every time my phone buzzed, my stomach clenched. Every time I chose not to answer, I felt both stronger and a little sick. Her messages changed tone fast. At first, "So you're just gonna run away? Seriously? You're being dramatic. We could have worked this out." Then, "I can't afford this place alone. Can we at least talk? Mr. Rivera said I have to pay full rent." "Are you kidding me, Jake?" Then, "I'm sorry, okay? Are you happy? I said it. I'm sorry. Can we just go back to how it was?" That one made me laugh out loud, a short, humorless sound in my brother's dim spare room. Go back to how it was. Like 3 years, and a betrayal could be rolled back if I just pretended hard enough. I didn't block her. I just stopped replying. Silence was more honest than any speech I could have given her. A couple of weeks went by. I settled into a new routine. Work, cheap dinners with my brother, late-night TV in the living room. It was nothing special, but it felt real. No pretending everything was fine while my gut twisted. Word got around our small town faster than I expected. Megan had made a lot of noise about her fun. She'd bragged at the diner, at bars, at parties. People heard. People remembered. A regular customer at the store, Mrs. Callahan, leaned on her cart one afternoon and said, "I heard you and that girl broke up. You're better off, sweetheart. She talked too much for someone doing wrong." I just nodded and bagged her groceries, but inside something unclenched. It wasn't about revenge in the movie sense. It was just people finally seeing what I'd been too blind to see. A week later, Jenna came through my line. She used to barely look at me. Now she wouldn't meet my eyes. "I shouldn't have laughed with her," she said quietly when no one was behind her. "When she talked about that guy, it was messed up." I shrugged. "You're not the one I was dating." "Still," she said, "for what it's worth, he's not even around anymore. He blocked her. She's not doing great." I didn't ask for details. I didn't need to know the color of Megan's meltdown. Just the outline was enough. She torched something that had been solid, traded it for a thrill, and now she was standing in the ashes, acting surprised that the fire actually burned. Rent hit her first. I heard from Mr. Rivera that she was late, then late again, then gone. She moved back in with her mom on the other side of town. The apartment above the laundromat went dark for a while. New tenants came in a month later. I saw the light on when I drove by one night and felt nothing. Just a quiet kind of closure. I thought that was the end of it. I was wrong. One afternoon, I was working a long shift, filling in for a sick coworker. I was at the front, scanning items, zoning out, when I heard a familiar voice say my name. "Jake." I looked up, and there she was, Megan, standing at my register with empty hands, eyes red, hair pulled back like she'd run out of time to make herself look put together. My chest tightened, but my face stayed still. "Next customer," I called out automatically, even though no one was behind her. "Jake, please," she said lower. "Can we talk? Just 5 minutes." "I'm working," I said. She glanced around. "Then after. I'll wait. I need to explain." I set a box of candy aside, wiped down the counter, anything to keep my hands busy. "There's nothing to explain." "Yes, there is," she insisted, voice cracking. "I was stupid. I know that. I thought you'd always be there no matter what I did. I thought you were too, I don't know," she swallowed, "too nice to leave." I let that sit between us for a second. It was the truest thing she'd ever said. "You were proud of hurting me," I said finally. My voice came out calmer than I felt. "You bragged about it. Remember?" Her eyes filled with tears. "I know. I was trying to look tough in front of everyone. I was drunk. I was—" "No," I cut in. "Don't blame the alcohol. You said what you meant. You liked feeling like you had power over me, like I wouldn't do anything." She opened her mouth, then closed it. A tear slipped down her cheek, and she wiped it away fast, embarrassed. "I lost everything, Jake," she whispered. "The apartment, my friends. Even that idiot guy. He didn't care about me at all. You were the only person who ever really did, and I—" Her voice broke. "I threw it away. I get it now. I do. Can't we just start over?" The old version of me, the one she counted on, might have cracked right there. Might have taken her back, told himself people make mistakes, clung to the good memories and tried to stuff the bad ones down. But that version of me was gone. She'd killed him. And in his place was someone who finally realized his own worth. I shook my head slowly. "No, Megan, we can't." She stared at me like she hadn't heard right. "You don't even want to think about it. Try? I'm different now. I've learned." "You learned because you lost," I said. "Not because you were sorry. You're not sorry you did it. You're sorry it backfired." Her face crumpled. "That's not fair." "It's honest." For a second, we just looked at each other. The two of us who used to share a bed, now separated by a checkout counter and everything unsaid. "You once told your friends," I added quietly, "that there was nothing I could do about it. About you cheating. Remember that?" She flinched. "Well," I said, "this is me doing something." I straightened the small stack of grocery bags next to me and took a step back. "I'm proud of leaving," I said. "That's it. That's all I've got for you." Her lips parted like she wanted to argue, scream, beg, something. But nothing came out. She just stood there shaking her head, tears sliding down her cheeks, until finally she turned and walked out of the store. I watched her go. My hands were trembling a little, but my chest felt strangely light, Not happy, not triumphant, just free. A customer rolled their cart up a moment later, eyeing me cautiously. "You okay, kid?" they asked. I took a breath, forced a small, real smile, and nodded. "Yeah," I said. "I think I actually am." Life didn't magically become perfect after that. I still worked early shifts. I still shared a cramped room at my brother's place for a while. I still had nights where I missed the good parts of what Megan and I had. But I stopped questioning whether I deserved better. I stopped thinking of myself as the boring, soft guy who should be grateful for whatever scraps someone handed him. Sometimes revenge isn't some grand gesture. Sometimes it's just walking away and letting the person sit alone with the mess they made. She wanted fun. She got consequences, and I finally got something too. Myself back.